Welcome to Sports Politic and Presents Agree to Disagree. I'm Alan Hinton. I'll be your host for the evening. I want to thank you, as always, for taking the time to join us, catching us on YouTube. In addition to catching us on YouTube, you can find us on Twitter at Sports Politicking. You can also find us on Facebook at Sports Politic Presents Agree to Disagree. That's our page. My personal information, I'm on Twitter, A-79. Mr. Turner.
And John Turner. Everybody loves John. Luke Cage. I just binge watched it. Check it out. Really good.
Purvis.
At Perfect Purvis on any social media.
Lance.
Leonard Lynch Jr. He could me at Lynch Jr. on all social media platforms.
Awesome. So our first topic today is going to be a more recent topic. Phil Jackson and his comments about LeBron James and his group of friends. Mr. Turner will start us off.
So LeBron James took exception to comments made by Phil Jackson in an article with Jackie McMullen, who's a highly respected journalist from the Boston Globe. And it was in the context of the argument about Pat Riley and how, Pat Riley likes to run his team and how they wanted to stay in Cleveland one night for obvious reasons. This is when LeBron was in Miami. Excuse me. And Phil mentioned that, no, you can't stay, in Cleveland with your mom and your posse. And that sparked outrage, especially in 2016 with the way that the social issues are now. And I'll admit, upon first reading it, nothing even struck with me. But after, seeing the definition of posse and the coding of what it really means, and I can definitely understand why LeBron was upset about that. And listening to people, Amin Ellison and Steven Jackson, who's a good analyst, by the way, at least to me. They were giving some insight on, Phil being condescending and saying a lot of things like that, which led credence to the fact that he said that on purpose, maybe not necessarily being a racist, but using the coding for saying that instead of saying his friends or his business partners, he used posse. And I just feel like that was very inappropriate. After reading up on it more and getting some more insight, I feel like it was inappropriate, and I feel like it denigrates, the hard work that LeBron and his boys, LeBron put his boys on, Randy, Rich, and Maverick. They've definitely all made their names in the sports business, and all it does is it just makes their accomplishment, it just makes them seem less accomplished. And as a black man, it seems like as hard as we work, try to make things better for ourselves, doing it the legitimate way, you would think that a person who put his boys on and carried them with them, and then they create names for themselves, they would just get lauded for that. But instead, you get coded words for it, and I just think that I don't really like it. I don't like it. Also think part of the issue was Phil Jackson speaking on LeBron when really, I'm not going to say he doesn't have any business speaking on LeBron, but saying things like he's entitled and he doesn't necessarily like it his way. If you're the GM or the president of another team, why does that kind of comment even come up? As a fan of LeBron, I will say that he gets, I would say, preferential treatment. I would say most superstars get preferential treatment. I just don't understand why he made those comments and why those particular comments made up. Just as a black man, I don't like how that paints black people, because posse has a negative connotation to it. I feel like there was a better word choice there. Again, not accusing them of racism, but I definitely feel like a better word choice there would have been would have made things a lot better.
Lynx, what are your thoughts?
Uh, well, comments. I didn't hear about the comments initially. I heard from Turner in the group, SP. That's
Sports politicking for those who don't know. Yeah, sports politicking for those who don't know. Gotta plug the group. My bad.
You gotta give it a chance to plug it. But
we're plugging a private group that can't
until Turner posted about it, and then I saw it and then researched on what he said, and immediately because the word posse, I ended up finding out about that after him. But just seeing the context and what he said, everything he said, it just, especially in the time, like Turner said, especially the times we're in right now, that just seems a little racially charged to use the word posse when you're talking about businessmen. You can have whatever feelings you have about LeBron on the court. You can have whatever feelings you have about his friends, him bringing his friends up, which is what most people do. You know, if you want to take a prime example, look at Adam Sandler. He brought all his friends up: Kevin James, David Spade, Rob Schneider, all of them from beginning. So people do that all the time. They bring their friends up and put them on. But the way that LeBron and his people are being treated and talked about by Phil Jackson, it really irked me, because most people look at blatant racism and they say, oh, that's the only racism you can have, or only prejudices you can have. But to me, it's the underlying undertones of things that are said and how they're done and how they're perceived. He may not, like LeBron said, he may not be a racist. Phil Jackson may not be racist. I don't know. I don't want to pretend to know. But I do know that when you say posse, when you're talking about a great, you're not talking about anything positive. It was positive about LeBron, about his friends. There's so many other verbiage he could have used to describe and get his viewpoint out, that I feel like if he would have used something else, it would have had a better friend. His business partners, his friends, but posse, you think of posse, you're not thinking anything positive. You're thinking of negativity right off the bat. And that rung a bell. It looks like with his friends, with Maverick, with Rich, and with LeBron. And to me, a lot of people don't get it because it's, well, posse, you can use it, a group of friends. If you look at the dictionary definition, it doesn't seem that bad. But that's just like saying thug. I mean, they're used now in the media by different people, different races, even the black race, the African Americans here in America. It's interchangeably meaning black. When you say ghetto, you're not talking about all the ghettos, you're talking about black people. When you say hood, which is the shortened term for neighborhood, you're not talking about any neighborhood. You're talking about the hood where black people live, which all black people don't live in the hood. So from that standpoint, I took a little issue with it, and I'm glad that LeBron and his friends did step up and say something that wouldn't just let this slide. And I do appreciate that from my perspective, that black athletes are speaking up now and not just letting things slide.
I want to, instead of going on to the was it racist part of this conversation, I kind of want to touch on something that Lentz just finished talking about, the fact that LeBron and his partners, his friends, did speak up and say something about it. I think it kind of goes to show athletes are getting to a point now where they are taking their voice and using it for whatever good they can find. I first heard about it actually from Maverick Carter. He tweeted his response to it, and that was where I first saw it. And I think that it was really positive. First off, none of them have come out and tried to drag Phil Jackson's name through the mud, which is something I feel like young people are really quick to do. I love the fact that they've come out. LeBron, the most negative thing that I've seen LeBron James say was that he had respect for Phil Jackson and his loss. I think that we need to see more of that from our professional athletes, from people that are in the spotlight just in general, especially like we've said in times like this, we need to get away from being negative and show people it's still possible to get your point across without having to slander somebody else. I don't know what Phil Jackson's purpose was for using the word that he used. I think that the entirety of what he said was disrespectful to LeBron James, whether any of it was true or not. And granted, some of it probably was true. I think that, like, I think it was Turner said, there's no point in you as a GM or owner or executive for another team to be bringing up a guy who, A, your team tried to sign, and B, you've never coached, had any kind of ownership over, not to say ownership, like he doesn't own a player, but like your team has never been in any way affiliated with him other than you bringing him in, trying to take him out on dates. So you only know what you've heard. You've got no room to be talking about LeBron James. If someone asks you a question, speak the facts that you know. Him going to Miami was great for Miami. It set up Cleveland in a situation where they got 2 first-round or 2 number 1 picks and were able to bring him back and then leave it at that. You don't know anything about Maverick Carter. You don't know LeBron James personally outside of him being in a visitor's locker room. So keep your mouth shut.
I agree with you there. All three of you guys made some really good points. Me personally, I felt like the whole situation is one of those situations that got kind of taken out of proportion. I agree there's got to be some racial undertones to what Phil Jackson said when he used the word posse. I feel that he used the wrong word, just like everybody else thinks. Also feel that the interview he had was more of a casual conversation interview, and he wasn't expecting to be like it dissected through the social media and online and whatnot, but it was. And that's his fault for not understanding everything he says is on record, and he needs to be accountable for that. Only thing I didn't too much care for was the whole LeBron saying he lost respect for him. I'm sorry, but people say things that are incorrect, and some people might say the wrong thing. But it's hard for me to lose respect for somebody from one interview. So I find that a little crazy to say that, okay, well, this is what he 100% thinks. But also, there's probably more there between him and LeBron that I don't know about. There's nothing I can do about that. But I do feel that he was wrong for what he said. But I feel that also everybody's making a deal out of this so that there is a deal. I think that he did what a lot of people did. He said something wrong. And I hope that as black people that we can give him like the Paula Dean treatment and eventually be like, okay, Phil Jackson's okay. That's all I got.
I think that the good thing about it being Phil Jackson is he's still Phil Jackson. I don't think anything he said or can say about LeBron James takes away his legacy. He coached the greatest basketball player in the history of everything. He's got a handful of rings. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
The Black Mamba?
Let's not go there. We don't have enough time for the Jordan versus.
Like, if you want to get to it, right? I was about to say, if you want to get to any other topics, yeah, no.
Because we will be here literally all night talking about Kobe versus MJ, and won't nobody's opinion change. But Phil Jackson's legacy is what it is. You don't have to. I don't think you have to worry about people, losing respect for him because his legacy, really in the minds of a lot of people, has kind of stopped already. I don't think many people think of him much as a GM, so nobody really cares, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think Phil Jackson, the coach, is as a deflection of Phil Jackson, the player. There's a lot of his players, governors, all this, that, who did things still or have their own prejudices, their own bigotries and races to it. I'm not saying Phil Jackson's racist. I'm saying that I wouldn't be surprised if he was. I mean, he is an old white man, an old rich white man.
Man, you might as well just come out and say he racist then. What do you mean? That's basically what you're saying.
I don't know.
That's the thing about Phil Jackson, though, is we're all sitting here saying that we don't agree with what he said and we don't like it, but we're all at the same time backpedaling and being like, but I'm not gonna call him racist. He's still Phil Jackson because that's the type of presidency he has. Like, he is that dude. So I mean, that's a credit to saying that we're not trying to attack him like his legacy or anything, but we are saying that there's an issue, and that's what we're speaking on. And I think that's actually a great conversation, and it's good that it's LeBron and Phil Jackson, because no matter what happens, the issue is what people are going to talk about, because you can't tarnish either one of those two legacies right now. So that's a great thing. They use those names.
What it comes down to is you've got the most popular basketball player in the world right now versus a 71-year-old white guy from Montana who used the word that he shouldn't have used. So, of course, the race thing is going to get thrown out there. There's not really much you can do, in my opinion, to fight that. It's in today's America, that's the first thing we're going to talk about anytime people of different races have a disagreement. As much as I hate to say it, racism is going to be something that gets used a lot more than it needs to, and even maybe that it probably should in the next 4 years.